I'll be honest with you, there are lots of fears associated with homeschooling, and I've felt most of them. I still feel some of the fears, okay? On this video, I'll share some of those fears just so you know that you're normal. You're fine. You're doing fine. Please, as you watch this video, please comment below with the hammer or with the nail if I'm nailing a fear that you have felt or the fear that you are feeling right now. And if you have suggestions on how we can help someone or who's feeling that fear, or if you have answers for some of the concerns, because some of these fears are coming from genuine concerns. So if you have answers, please leave them in the comment section below. I'll start with the first one, not knowing what to teach your child. You know, it's one thing having a desire to homeschool and educate your child basically at home, but it's another thing knowing what are you going to teach them. What are you going to teach them? Especially if you are the first generation, it's not easy to know what are you going to teach your child. If you've never felt that fear or you've never had that concern, maybe share down below how did you overcome that, or maybe if you faced it and you've overcome it, how did you overcome that, and why are you not feeling that? Why aren't you scared that you don't know what you're going to teach your child? There's a second layer to this fear, and I've labeled this number 2, fear of inadequate education. So let's say somehow you've managed to overcome fear number 1, so you have now an idea of what you're going to teach your child, and then now you start teaching them, but then you feel like it's not enough. You feel like it can't be it. This can't be everything that I'm supposed to do. Have you felt that? I've felt that. If you felt it, please a hammer and a nail down below. So there's that fear that I'm giving inadequate education. You ask yourself questions like, am I supposed to do just this? Or am I supposed to do more than just this, you know? And you also ask yourself, am I giving my child adequate education based on their capabilities and based on how they are, how they learn, how they think, and all of that. So there is that fear that, am I doing enough? That fear is your children being behind. This fear, I've seen messages since I've started sharing my journey online. I receive messages from parents, and they are genuinely concerned that their children might fall behind their peers. Okay? Firstly, you know, when I read this, there's that thing like in my heart, like a behind. Okay? That's that they're behind. So you are comparing your children. Okay. Must I deal with you as a parent? Maybe it's not my place. But you are comparing your child to another child, or to a child of the same age. I have so much to say about this, but I know this is another fear that parents have, fearing that their children will be behind. Just to put you at ease, in most cases, they won't be behind. They'll be ahead, and they will be very ahead, okay? The fourth fear, which I also think is genuine for parents to think or fear, or anyone concerned, not just a parent, anyone concerned, you know, like family. Let's say you know someone in your family is homeschooling, and you're genuinely concerned as an aunt or as an uncle that, are they going to go to university? Are they going to be accepted at university? Fine, it's nice, you know, when the child is still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But I tell you, the moment the child is doing grade 1, that fear comes in. You know, that concern comes in, like, okay, with whatever that we're doing, are we in line with whatever the universities want? Are they even going to accept my homeschool child? You know, and I know as I'm going through these fears, I'm just going through them, and I will give answers to all of them. Don't you worry, I'll have detailed answers to all of them, based on my experience and also from other experienced homeschoolers who have children that have gone to universities, and people who have children that are in high school, and so forth. So do stay tuned, and please subscribe, because the future videos, that's the talk that we're going to have to address all these fears. So just to answer you, the short answer is yes, but then there's also another short answer that is no. So it all lies in the how. So you need to know the how. Okay, so you need to know the how, and we will share more details on the how on future videos. The fifth fear, which is like the first question that people will ask you if you tell them that you homeschool, is, what about socialization? Socialization. So there can be that fear that homeschool children will be unsocialized. Socialization is the concern, and I understand where the concern or the worry comes from, or the fear as we call it in this video comes from. Socialization is an important skill that children need to develop, to learn and develop, and it's best to teach them at a young age. And unfortunately for most people, when you think of socialization and children, they're only picturing children with their peers in a classroom setting or at school or wherever, but with their peers. And unfortunately they fail to see socialization outside school, outside the classroom, and with other people as well. But nevertheless, I think it's something worth unpacking, so that that fear, if you have as a homeschooler, you will understand it better, and then you can also know what to do about it. I think we must have a detailed conversation about this, so that as a homeschooler you will understand that fear, you understand where it's coming from firstly, and then you also know how to address it, because we also want our children to be social. And homeschool children are social, by the way, in case you're just wondering. I think the next fear that goes hand in hand in that one is being different or being weird, right? And I can't say anything in this video that will change that. This is true. They'll be different, right? Children who go to school, they know trends, they know this, they know that. There are also certain groups, you know, from the early age that children are classified in schools or in any area where there are peers in there. And homeschool children will miss out on those trends, they will miss out on those groups, and they might not even look at children and group them. You understand? Because it's something that they don't know, and it's something that they're not exposed to, and they can be hence be classified as being weird. Or they can be so much into something, you know, they can be so much into something that they're classified as being weird, or and so forth. Like, there's so many scenarios that I'm thinking of, you know, there's so many ways that you can classify them as weird. But now, if you are homeschooling, or you have a friend or a family member that's homeschooling, and you also have this fear that you fear that their children will be different, you fear that their children will be weird, aren't you supposed to be happy that they'll be different? Honestly, like, think about it. Aren't you supposed to be happy that your children will be different? Right? Do you want them to be like all the children at school? Do you really want them to be like that? Or it's just a fear that when you are with other parents or when you're with other children, that your children will stand out? I think we need to have this discussion. And if you haven't subscribed, really, I don't know why. I don't know why. What are you waiting for? Do you need more fears? Do you want me to scare you even more before you subscribe to my channel? Please subscribe if you haven't done so, and just engage also with the content. If you have ideas on how we can solve this fear, or on how we can overcome this fear, just put it down below, and remember to put that nail if I'm nailing the fear that you have felt. Another valid fear to have is what will happen when I'm normal. Like, okay, it's one thing now I'm with my children, but what if I die tomorrow? What if circumstances change? You understand? What if maybe I'm able to homeschool now because maybe I have a husband who is supporting us, or maybe I'm able to do this because I have a life partner doing this thing together. But what happens if that is no longer there? What happens when things change, circumstances change? And they do change. This is life, you know, it's unpredictable. They do change. So I think having that fear, it's a valid fear to have as a homeschooler, or as a parent, or as a friend to a homeschooler. But then you must move beyond just having a fear. Once you have the fear, it's good that you're able to identify the fear. And I think this is what this video is about, really, to identify those fears and to be honest with ourselves that, okay, we fear this. Do you understand? Like, okay, I fear this. If I die, what's going to happen to my children? What's going to happen to my homeschool children? What's going to be life after that? So it's a good thing to have, but then you must go deeper now in understanding where the fear is coming from and how we can overcome that fear and equip yourself with what you need to do should anything happen to you, or to your spouse, or to your relationship with your spouse, you know, divorce or whatever thing that might happen in your relationship. The 8th one, I've received emails and messages and this and this and that about this one. It's the fear of the authorities. fear of being put to jail for homeschooling. Yeah, I said it. I know maybe you're thinking, you're sitting at home, you're thinking, but is it legal? Is illegal? You know, and what is legal, what is illegal when it comes to homeschooling? So yeah, there's that fear that you might be arrested that you might be arrested by authority. Unfortunately, I'm not authority. I don't have that power. If I had, I was gonna tell you, it's okay, you're doing fine, I won't arrest you, but it's not up to me. So I think we must then have that discussion, have that open discussion where we talk about this. Is this possible? And also, I think this also goes back to where you are in the world. If you are in mostly first world countries, maybe they have better refined or defined the laws when it comes to homeschooling, whereas other countries maybe are not clear when it comes to that, you know. So we're in Africa, so the way that things are done in my country is not the same way as things are done in other countries, right? And Africa is huge. Africa on its own is huge. So when I say my country, I'm referring to South Africa, but someone might be coming from Uganda or Ethiopia or wherever in Africa, and things are done differently there. So we also need to equip ourselves with that. So I think we need to equip ourselves with our country's laws when it comes to children and their rights, their education rights, and so forth. Another good one, another good fear is children not participating in sports. No sports, no extracurricular activities. That's it's a good concern. You're concerned because when you look at your home, maybe you don't have the soccer field that's your child can use to play soccer, or you even do not have a swimming pool where your child can excel in their swimming and whatever pool sports that they can play, or you don't even have a hockey pitch, you don't have all these things, you know. So you might have that fear that how am I going to provide that to my children? Well, there are a number of ways to give children that opportunity, even if you don't have it at your backyard. And just stick around, I will share those options, because there are different options that you can go about in doing that, in ensuring that your children exercising, keeping fit, but also learning new sports and finding out what sports they like and what sports maybe they might even excel in. You'll never know, you don't know their future. So there are ways that you can do that as a homeschooler. Another good one, okay, the fear that I will never be able to take my kids to school. So whether you pull your children out of school at some point to homeschool them, or maybe they never went to school to begin with, so that fear of saying I'll never be able to take them to school. Okay, cool. Yeah, I have videos in the past, you can watch them, but I will also have a guest coming up in the future videos where I'll be unpacking that in detail, because I've realized that we can do the same thing and your child can be accepted at school and my child not accepted, and that's the sad truth, you know, especially here in South Africa, right? So I think it's important that we also equip ourselves for that fear. Remember, we talked about the fear when circumstances change, or when you're no longer able to homeschool, or you're no longer there in the child's life. We need to equip ourselves for those things. So in this case, if you want to take your children back to school for whatever reason, we need to know how do we go about doing it, what to do, what's needed and what's not needed, and so forth. With that being said, I have a list of guests that I'll be inviting to my channel, where we'll be unpacking all these fears and more, because there are more fears associated with home education. But if you have suggestions, I highly appreciate your emails, guys. Check the description box down below. My email address is always there. Please email me your suggestions, or even if you would like to be a guest in my videos, I would highly appreciate that. So this is so packed. This I've just highlighted 10 fears. If you were not counting, there were 10 fears that I've highlighted, but I felt more fears than this. And I'm sure if you are homeschooling, or especially if you're getting started with homeschooling, there's so many fears that are clouding your mind. The finances, the time, the this and that. I am sharing what I know. I am sharing what have worked for us, and I've shared a video on how to homeschool while you're working full-time. And if you haven't watched that video, I think it's good that you click on this button. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.